Well, hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. I thought we'd try something a little bit different today, and I don't even know if this is going to work out. So, when my sister was here visiting, we bought these blackberries and we never ate them. So, I thought, let's try to dye some paper with those blackberries. So what I'm going to do is just lay my stencil on top there, take some of the blackberries, and just press them into this stencil. And let's just see what happens. It may work, it may not work, but I kind of can see some color coming out. Now I am actually still putting some of the blackberry color over where a leaf would be. I don't know. I think it's going to work out. Maybe let's just grab another one here. You got to kind of break it down and smash it in. You might want to put some gloves on. I'm sure my hands are going to be all dyed. Just go over the edge there. I can see the color. Maybe pouncing it would be good. I don't know. Let's see. I'm just making sure I'm going over each little image so that hopefully when I pull it up, we're going to be able to actually see the rose. Alrighty, let's have a reveal here. Let's see what happens when I pull it up. That came out good. And I think once it dries, I'll be able to wipe off any of the blueberries that were left behind. That's cool, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to set this over to the side and let it dry. Let's bring in another piece of copy paper and lay another stencil over it. See what we get. This is fun. The other thing I might do, and I'll show you that, is I'll only do 2 of these like this, and then the other thing I'll do is boil these blackberries in some water to stain the water and then dip my paper in those. And we'll dye some of that and see how that comes out. It's kind of fun. It's like playing like when you're a little kid, like making mud pies or something. Oh, I have to tell you this one story. I don't think I told you this. So we lived out in the country, and we always had a big garden. And one day, we in the summer, we were always just outside in our panties, just because it's hot, and I think my mother didn't want to do a lot of laundry, and we're little girls, so there's nobody around, there's no neighbors or anything. So we're outside playing in the sprinklers in our underwear. And my brother decides, because then like we're playing in the water and what have you with the hose, then all of a sudden he gets a hoe and he starts mixing the water and the dirt to make like a mud slush. Well, me and my two sisters, we start wallowing around in that mud, getting it all over us, and my brother's there with the hoe just making more mud. Well, my mother came out the door. Oh, she was hotter than a hen in, I don't know what, she just was so mad. I can't believe you girls doing that. And Scotty, look at you, you're just acting like a bunch of hillbillies and pigs, and you get rinsed off. She was so mad. Well, I'll never forget, because my dad had come out, and my dad, he thought it was like one of the funniest things he had ever seen, and he started laughing, which made my mother madder. And he's laughing. My mother's like, Robert, get the belt after those girls. Well, my dad could hardly, spank us because he was laughing so hard. So that's my playing in the mud story. Okay, let's pull this off and see what this one looks like. Cool. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those are cool. Very cool. Okay, now I've got the rest of those berries, and I'm just going to slide them into this big glass pan here. And then I have about 4 cups of boiling water that I think is going to help them break down. Ooh, look at that pretty color. And then I'm going to dip my paper in this mixture and do some dyeing with some stencils. So I'm going to smash these berries down. And then I will also run this paper through a sieve to remove some of the seeds and what have you. But isn't that a pretty color? That's very pretty. So I have a story to tell you guys, and it's kind of a, it's actually going to be, could be some bad news, but not so bad for me personally because of my age. So we got notification a couple of weeks ago that my hospital may very well close down. It's in Hollister, California. It's a town, a little over 40,000 people. It's the only hospital in that county. It's small. It's a small community hospital. I've worked there for 17 years, almost 18 years. And I believe because of being mismanaged by the chief financial officer and maybe others in administration, we have no money. And I've heard that they're about $10 million in the hole. So they have, I guess there's a law that if you are going to close down, you have to notify the employees 60 days in advance that you're going to close down. So they're in the process of trying everything that they can to involve the community, to involve officials, government officials, to try to save this little hospital. But we are not the only hospital that has closed down because of lack of funding. And now, like I said, I think that's really bad for the gals and the nurses, employees, everybody, housekeepers that actually live right there in Hollister. And they would have to commute to work somewhere else. Now, you know, I live in Arizona and commute to California to work. Plus, I am 68 years old. So, close to retirement. I don't want to retire because I love being a nurse. I love working, and I'm just not ready to give it up yet. So it's not so bad for me because I will just stop commuting and get a job here in Arizona. And what I think I might do is I really don't want to do labor and delivery any longer here, because I've been doing it, 17, 18 years or so. I think I would like to be a hospice nurse. So that will be my plan. I will keep you guys updated on whether or not we close down, but that's that news. So we shall see. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to let it soak a little bit, let those berries kind of seep out more of that color, and then strain it, and we will go from there. So this is the next day of the papers where I just smashed the blueberries in between the stencil, and I think they came out pretty good. Kind of a couple of little dark areas still, and little areas where I need to pick off the blueberries. But I'm going to do some my traditional way now and see how those turn out. So what I do, this is my setup. So I always lay down a piece of paper that I have already kind of done some marks on. You can see it back in the back when I go to clean my brush. When I'm painting something, I just wipe stuff on it, and that can be used as mark making paper or paper behind the design. I did go ahead and strain the blackberry juice. And let me grab some paper. Sorry if I'm jiggling you, but I'm doing this one-handed. And what I'll do is I'll just put the camera down because it's going to be too hard. But I dip the paper in the solution, then lay it on this sheet, then a stencil on top of it, and then put it in a low oven. In the summer here, I can do it just out in the sun, but I'm just going to put it on a low oven, and we'll see how that turns out. Here's the results of my blackberry dyeing. So these were the smushed ones over the stencil, and they came out pretty. And then I just dipped some inside the blackberry solution, laid a stencil on them, and let me give you a little hint. When you dip your paper into either coffee or any kind of dye that you're doing, lay it on your cookie sheet or your flat surface, spread it out, lay the stencil on top, and then push that down into the paper so it has a really nice contact with the paper. And that's how you're going to get these nice crisp edges. Now, because it's winter, even though it's still pretty sunny here in Arizona, I put these in the oven. Now, do you see how this is not real crisp? Again, that was not adhered real well to the stencil as to where this one was. Again, these were good. These were adhered very nicely to the stencil and the paper. And then I'm just going to show you one in which I did it just plain. And it's kind of a grayish color. I do like it. And then this one, it's interesting. This is the same Blackberry solution, but if you look close, it almost looks like a gold. Very, very subtle, but it looks gold, and I didn't put any gold in it. But anyway, that's my dyeing with blackberries. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. My coffee dyed tutorial is actually one of my most viewed tutorials. So if you haven't checked that out, please do that. And I will see you guys next Monday. Thanks and bye-bye.